message which calls on the people of Ghana to take their time, to have patience. And this viewer or listener actually says that Rome was not built in a day. That's very interesting. That's exceedingly interesting. Because that Rome, which was not built in a day, was Rome which was built by slaves. That Rome, which was not built in a day, did not accept the principle of the equality of citizens. That Rome, which was not built in a day, had two categories of people inhabiting it: the citizens and the slaves. We do not want to build that Rome in Ghana. Our objective in Ghana must not to build that Rome which was not built in a day. Our objective in Ghana is to build Ghana, is to build that Ghana that Kwame Nkrumah dreamt of. A prosperous Ghana, acting in concert with other African countries to break the chains of neo-colonialism, to build that Ghana, that new Ghana, in which no child will go to bed on an empty stomach. So those who like to repeat proverbs that they have not considered and so on should not continue to annoy the people of Ghana. Our objective is not to build a Rome of citizens and slaves. Our objective, first and foremost, is to complete the unfinished business of the independence movement. Something happened in 1949. In 1949, the youth of Ghana rose up in their thousands and told the political class that they had enough. They had enough of their masquerading. They had enough of their lies, and they had enough of their action. It was the youth, organized in the CYO, which rallied behind the Osagifo to break away from the UGCC and to begin the struggle which led to our independence on 6 March 1957. It was the youth that led that movement, which began to delink the national economy from the colonial metropolis. It was the youth in their thousands who supported the industrialization program of the Convention People's Party and Osagifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Today, in 2021, the youth of Ghana are rising again, and they are joining a movement in their droves to wage a struggle to ensure that the dreams of our founding fathers, the dreams of the independence movement, will be realized. These thousands of young people organizing under the banner Fix the Country are no different from the young people who rallied to the support of Kwame Nkrumah in 1949. What are their demands? Their demands are as simple as the demands of the anti-colonial movement. They want to develop a system which enables the people of Ghana to choose their own leaders freely. They want to develop a system which leads to the election of a government that is responsible and which will harness the resources of this country for the improvement of the living and working conditions of our people. These thousands of young people rallying behind the Fix the Country movement are not different from the Jinkri-Jerus of 1949. And they cannot be different from the Comorusas of 1949. This is a new cry to save our country from the clutches of poverty and underdevelopment. And the earlier we realize that, the better it will be for everybody. Today, what are these young people calling on all of us to help fix? What are they calling on us to help fix? Today, we are living in a country in which, in the last 5 months, petroleum prices have been increased 6 times. That is what we have to fix. Today, we are living in a country in which our children still continue to go to school under trees in deplorable conditions. And I'm sure all of you have seen videos from the north, from the eastern part of the country, from all parts of the country, of school children sitting on cement blocks. Their schools have no water. In some of the schools, they actually don't have places of convenience. This is the reality we have to fix. The reality we have to fix is the fact that in 2021, many of our citizens are still living in the Stone Age. That's the reality we have to fix. There are citizens of Ghana in 2021 who have no access to electricity. There are citizens in Ghana who have to walk several kilometers before they reach a school. There are citizens in Ghana who are still farming, engaged in agriculture with the hoe and the cutlass. And these gallant men and women go to their farm barefooted, in tattered clothes. Today, in 2021, there are citizens of this country living in mud houses with thatched roofs, without windows and without doors. Today, hundreds of thousands of our citizens are living in rural communities, slaving to feed us in the urban centers. And these people are susceptible to snake bites in places where there are no hospitals and no cheap compounds. This is the reality we have to fix. The reality is that in the capital city of Accra, there are so many thousands and thousands and thousands of people earning less than 500 cedis a month, not a day. But if you earn 500 cedis a month and you have 3 children, how would you survive? What do you use the 500 cedis for? Transportation to work and back, to feed your children, to pay your electricity, to have access to water, or to have access to electricity. This is the reality. This is the reality that these thousands of young men and women are calling upon all of us to fix. That reality we have to fix includes that reality in which some of us had our first COVID vaccine more than a month ago, and we are still sitting here and waiting for the second vaccine. And nobody is explaining to us what the consequences of that will be for us and the people around us. Yeah. That's the reality we have to fix. The reality we have to fix is that we're in a COVID era. We're in a COVID era. And in that COVID era, the science teaches us that when you take your first jab, in 8 weeks, you have to take a second jab. And yet the Ghana Health Service, by some strange reason, is telling us that it's okay to wait for 11 months. This is the reality we have to fix. This is a reality that these thousands of young people rallying behind the Fix the Country movement are calling upon us to fix. What they are calling upon us to fix includes the fact that today the party card of ruling parties has become a passport to heaven. And those who do not have the party cards of ruling parties are condemned to a perpetual stay in hellfire. Hellfire of poverty, hellfire of disease, hellfire of unbridled pain, and so on. This is the reality. This is the reality that these thousands of young people are calling upon us to fix. That reality, which these young people are calling upon us to fix, is that reality of tiredness with a political elite who speaks at both sides of his mouth. A political elite which is completely delusional, absolutely delusional. That's the reality they're calling upon us to fix. And we either fix that reality or we'll be consumed by that reality. You know, since this young man announced the intention to organize a demonstration, there have been all kinds of moves. One of the moves which was made, which completely defies logic, is the one which the co-panelist, Mr. Tumbuafo, has discussed in detail. I don't know why anytime there's a crisis, why anytime people complain, some people in government decide to grab His Excellency Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and put him behind in front of microphones and cameras. Why did they do that to the young man? It would appear that there are some people who are determined to destroy this young man forever. So anytime there's crisis, they grab him, they put microphones in front of him, they put cameras in front of him, and they shine light on him and say, speak. I recall that the same His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia Alhaji, Vice President, told us that in the first few months of the existence of this administration, they have achieved, how many achievements did he say they had achieved?
101, 100.
More than 100 achievements to their credit in the first few months. Now, the same Dr. Bawumia comes to us and he says that we have achieved 71. We have 71 achievements. So how come that in 2017 they had achievements exceeding 100? And then in 2021, there are 71 achievements. How is that possible? Why? The achievements are reducing. As
he listed 70. He didn't say it is 70.
Before he listed more than 100.
Yes.
Now he's listing 70. But that is still interesting.
He didn't say it is. It's even more than less.
But why is he listing less?
All of them. It's a response. So urgency. That's all.
What urgency?
The urgency of the response.
What agency?
Oh, so let's move.
It was urgent.
Fix the listing.
Let Mr. Pratt.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. Uncle, sorry.
It all contributes to the...
Thank you.
No problem. But in the first few months of this administration, the Vice President is listing achievements in the hundreds. After 5 years, somehow the achievements are now 70. And the government communicator sitting here with us, my big brother, and you see, he says that, oh, it was in an emergency situation, so he couldn't list all the achievements, so he had to do with 70. Hey! What is this? There is a crisis. Young people are rallying to the court to fix the country. And as you say, it's an emergency. Vice President, come and tell us your achievement. He's in such a hurry that he couldn't name all the achievements and could only name 70. This is the story we are being told. You know, sometimes, as they say, some of our leaders think that we wash our faces upwards. So they can tell us anything. They can tell us anything. They expect us to believe because they think we are yo-yos. That is part of the problem we have to fix. Part of the problem we have to fix is that our leaders have no respect for us. They actually assume that all of us are yo-yo. And that wisdom only resides in the ministerial offices and at the Flagstaff House. Unfortunately, they will soon learn the important lesson that wisdom is more diffused in this country than they ever thought. I'm looking at the achievements listed by the Vice President, and I'm totally shocked. The Vice President is talking about or claiming that they have revamped this economy. Revamped this economy? My brother, any passing knowledge of economics will tell us that this economy is in total shambles. We are running an economy. A national economy. And we are spending 91% of total national revenue plus grants on public sector emoluments, servicing of debt and repayment of debt. And this is the economy which has been revamped. So if the economy had not been revamped, where would we be today? If this economy had not been revamped, where would we be today? I am frightened about the future. I am completely frightened about the future. But you know, we must tell our leaders that this economy would not be lifted from the doldrums by tinkering with interest rates and by tinkering with the rate of inflation and by tinkering with the gross domestic product, by tinkering with the gross national product as well. That is not the headache of this economy. The headache of this economy is that it is essentially a neo-colonial economy. The headache of this economy is that the people of Ghana are still the drawers of water and doers of wood. The problem with this economy is that we no longer own and control our resources, and that our resources are not being exploited for the benefit of our people. Indeed, to put it in President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's words, we are still running a Goggisberg economy. I felt uplifted the day I heard His Excellency the President speak about the need to move away from the Goggisberg economy. I thought he had got it. Only to realize, not too long after that, that it was the usual rhetoric and that no meaningful thing would happen. My brother, we are talking about the gold industry. We are talking about not the gold industry. We are talking about the gold mining industry. We are talking about the pollution of our rivers. We are talking about deforestation. We are talking about the loss of biodiversity and so on. But what is the context within which all of this is happening? The context within which all of this is happening is about the legal regime which existed in the 70s, which insisted that Ghanaians should have a minimum of 55% interest in the mining industry no longer exists. So today, under our laws, under the legal regime, the total Ghanaian interest in gold mining is estimated at 3%. That is the problem. Today, as we speak, and I've spoken about this for years and years and years, and sometimes I really feel tired. Today, as we speak, in this studio, you still have the foreign exchange retention agreement in operation. The foreign exchange retention agreement between the Bank of Ghana and the mining companies, which enables the mining companies to keep up to 98% sometimes of the money they get from exporting our minerals. They keep it outside this economy. How can you revive this economy if 98% of the value of gold mined in this company is kept outside the shores of this country? How? How can we improve the economy? So we need to tackle the fundamental structure of our economy. We need to put in place policies which will make our people own their wealth and exploit their resources for their own benefit. This was the dream of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. This was the dream of the independence movement. This is the dream which was shattered on February 24, 1966. And is still being shattered today. On February 24, 1966, the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States of America and its local lackeys began shattering the dream with guns and bullets. Today, that dream is being shattered with useless propaganda. Today, that dream is being shattered by writing uninformed books and circulating them in our schools to change our history, to make the villains of yesterday heroes of today. That is how the dream is being shattered. Today, the dream is being shattered by all kinds of contractual agreements with the slave masters of old, denying our people their right to control, to own, control, and exploit our resources for our own benefit. I want to advise the people in authority today. Change. Change sometimes can come about peacefully. Change sometimes comes about peacefully. Change can sometimes come about in ways which can still preserve life and limb. But change, when it is suppressed, can break out like floodgates and consume all of us. The attempt to suppress free expression, the attempt to trample on the right of free association, the attempt to trample on constitutional rights and so on, can have consequences which will be exceedingly grave. In my short life, have participated in organizing many manifestations in this country and outside this country. And one of the most important lessons I've learned is that any attempt to trample on the rights of free association leads to the opening of the floodgates. As in 1995, those who organized the Kwesi demonstrations had not been threatened, insulted, vilified, and so on, we could not have put more than 100,000 people on the streets of Accra. What did the mobilization for us was the attitude of the police and the political elite at the time. They, by their resistance, by their threats, and by their recourse to bullying tactics, mobilized the hundreds of thousands of people who joined that demonstration. I see this regime and the police and all its institutions repeating the mistakes of 1995. And please, I can only advise, if they listen to me, the better. The more they resist this movement, the bigger the movement will become. The more they put impediments in the way of the movement, the bigger the movement will become. Mark my words. It is not in their interest to continue behaving as they are behaving. And I give them this free advice. Look at Ghana. Look at our police service. If you want, add the military. You can add all the others, fire service and so on. What capacity do they have to stop and determine people eager to demonstrate for change? There's no capacity. They can't do it. It is impossible. The police cannot stop and determine people courageous, heroic, who want to demonstrate to make a point about the future of their country. The police has no capacity. They may come with water cannons. They may come with policemen on horsebacks. They may even come with live ammunition and so on. They cannot stop and determine people. How many people can you kill? They should ask themselves, how many people can they kill and still continue to stay in power? How many people can they kill and still continue to stay in power? So they should think. Look, what is the capacity of our prisons? Our capacity for prisons in this country. How many people can they arrest at one go and lock them up? Where? In police cells? How many people can the police cells contain? So if the people of this country are determined to demonstrate, they cannot be stopped. In any case, all of us have committed to building a democratic order. And all of us say that that democratic order, the reference point for that building of that democratic order is the 1992 Constitution. You go and read the 1992 Constitution. The 1992 Constitution gives unfettered right to citizens to protest, to demonstrate. Unfettered right. There is no fetter to the right to demonstrate in the 1992 Constitution. The fetters, unfortunately, were introduced by the NDC. They introduced those fetters in an act of parliament which is inferior to the 1992 Constitution. All those fetters are not in the 1992 Constitution. And our leaders should be careful. Our leaders should be careful because they may soon open the floodgates. And those floodgates, if they are opened, would lead to gushing out of water. Gushing out of the anger of the people. The gushing out of the frustrations of the people. And maybe all of us will be consumed by the torrents that will flow from the floodgates which will be opened. It is time to think. It is time to think about how to rescue our country from decay. It is time to think about how to end doomso. It is time to think about how to expand access to education. It is time to think about what to do to make the wages and salaries of our working people meaningful. It is time to think about what to do in order to improve access to potable water. It is time to think about how all of these young people who are unemployed can be seriously engaged so that they can participate in the effort to solve the problems of our country. Look, now I see and meet, and I'm sure all of you see and meet, young people who are so well educated. Over the last 6 months, I've met 4 young people who have doctorates, who have earned for themselves PhDs, and they are unemployed. They are unemployed. Before, when we talked about the unemployment problem, we were thinking about dropouts of the secondary school system. We were thinking about dropouts of the primary school system and so on. Now, the unemployment problem is not the headache of the dropouts from our school system. It's the headache of those who have attained the highest level of education. That should wake us up. Between 1951 and 1966, the crop of leaders we had who built this country, who built more than 400 factories, who built the Ekosombo Dam, who expanded access to education by more than 1,000% and so on. Those crop of leaders, go and check the educational background. Some of them had not completed secondary school. And yet, look at their monumental achievements. When I was growing up, if you went to a bank, the girl sitting in the cage, how do you call them? The tellers. The tellers. Most likely middle school leavers. As you continue to grow, they were replaced by Form 5 leavers from the secondary schools. And then gradually, if you went to the bank and you saw a lady in the tiller, that lady could be a sixth former. Today, go to all the banks. Those young men sitting in the tillers are university graduates.
Master's degrees.
Master's degree.
Minimum a degree.
Thank you. Some of them have master's degrees. And they are sitting in those cages as tellers. Is that how you call them?
Yeah,
tellers.
tellers.
To my shock, I recently encountered a police corporal. A police corporal with a university degree. And I'm told there are many of them. The corporals you see, some of the policemen you see directing traffic and so on are university graduates. A police sergeant who has a master's degree and so on. What does that tell us? What does that tell us about our country? You know, our leaders should understand one thing. Only 2 weeks ago, a campaign began to stop begging on our streets. I'm sure all of you heard the loud campaign about how begging on the streets is a nuisance and so on, and how we should be stopped, and the threat it poses to motorists and so on. And I sat down and asked myself a few questions. Do you think that those people on the streets begging and hawking, do you think that they don't want to drive four-wheel drives? Do you think that they don't want to sit in the ministries with bodyguards? Do you think that those people in the streets don't want to go to Kempinski Hotel and have lunch with their girlfriends? Do you think that they don't want to fly outside this country and go to Barcelona to watch league matches? They are human beings like all of us. They have aspirations like all of us. In fact, they aspire to the highest levels of anything and everything. What keeps them on the street is our greed, the greed of the elite. What keeps them on the streets begging is the rotten capitalist system based on exploitation. What keeps them begging on the street is our affluence, our greed, provided for us by a rotten capitalist system that keeps them on the street. And we should not annoy them any further by making them the problem, because they are not the problem. We are the problem. We are their problem. We keep them on the streets. We force them to beg. We should not annoy them. The movement has begun, and it's a huge movement. For those tracking them on social media and so on, there's no doubt. There's a huge movement of thousands and thousands and thousands of young activists that I have never known in the arena of national politics, young activists that I've never recognized amongst those who used to organize all kinds of demonstrations and so on. A new era is dawning on Ghana. That new era which is dawning on Ghana may eventually lead to the change that all of us have been hoping for. And I use may advisedly, because we have seen the Arab Spring, which led to nothing. Indeed, led to the worsening of the conditions of the Arab people. We have seen the attempt at organizing the Arab Spring in Libya, which has led to the total devastation of Libya. Yeah. We have seen it in many other places and so on. The momentum is inspiring, the message is inspiring, but a lot more thinking has to go into shaping the anger of the people, into using the anger of the people for real, genuine, meaningful change. We should not go the way of the Arab Spring. I salute all these young men and women who are motivated clearly by the need to build a new and prosperous Ghana for all of its citizens. I salute them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Pratt, let me just do a few of the messages. Then we'll move on to the other issues that have been tabled. And we're just talking about hashtag Fix the Country. And that's a hashtag that is still trending very much on social media. There has been several fightbacks, but that hashtag would not go away. The demonstration, like I said, was supposed to be tomorrow. It's not happening because some of the police are still able to convince judges to give them a restraining order whenever you try to hold a demonstration. My name is Sana Nombo. A big thank you to our affiliate stations across the country. I'm in the studio where you just heard Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr. Nana Yajantua, who is General Secretary of the Convention People's Party, is with me. Kojo Chumbafo, who is the leading member of the NDC, is also here. And a member of the communications team of the NPP and spokesperson for NADMO, George AC, is also with me in the studio. Just a few of your messages. There's one that I was trying to read and it keeps going off. This is Papa BCU, who says, hi, son, under late males who had no oil field but was doing so well in every facet of the economy. The then opposition leader and now President Anado described the hardworking President Mills as Prof. Doolittle and went ahead to tell him that if the country was broke, he should fix it. Today, Nanado is messing up the economy with all three oil fields, namely the Jubilee oil field, and under hard-working visionary leader, His Excellency John Mahama's 2 new oil fields, namely 10 oil field and Sankofa oil field, handed over to him. And all are producing oil and gas every day, and therefore yielding so much revenue to the state. But due to bad and reckless leadership, he has failed Portal, making a lot of Ghanaians suffer with everyday increase in price of petrol and gas, with no gain to poor Ghanaians. If the petrol and gas prices can't come down, Nanado just close down the oil fields, if not fix the country. Papa BCU sent that. It's nice I was able to finally finish reading that. There's the overall effect of what the vice president claims they've done is that there's too much hardship and suffering in the country because cost of living is higher today than they came to meet. They deceive the people to win power only to come and worsen the wrongs and halt our gains as a country. Oh, Ghana. That's Charles. Okay, that's Charles. Thank you for those messages. Okay, Alhaji Alhaji in Pig Farm, who says, if you say the economy is broke, fix it. I tell you today, you were not elected to talk about the problem. You were elected to fix it, so fix it. Kande Nanado in 2013 to His Excellency President Atamils of blessed memory. So that's a quote. Today, the ordinary Ghanaian who queued to vote you under the pretext of 4 more to do more are repeating your very words. And we are called fools by one of your MPs, and that we should fix our attitude and pay our taxes. Did you fix your attitude in 2013? Now, to those that are saying we should fix Ghana together, what happened when JDM government extended an open hand to the MPP for them to join the Century Economic Dialogue? What did we see and hear? A native doctor who invoked a storm on his people cannot prevent his house from destruction. Well, let's move on to the issue regarding the monetization of our mineral royalties. There was a forum just this Monday on it. I was having a more please.
I think that my senior brother and fellow communist, Uncle Kwesi Pratt, has set the stall for this particular thing, and basically our government wants to, in their quotes, monetize the 3% that we get from our gold export plus all the taxes and other things that whatever it amounts to, so that they can collect a lot more money for what we are going to collect in future. In finance, is simply called an annuity. So you discount what you think you are going to get in, say, 10 years, and you are given a certain amount by somebody who has. And the reason most people do, any entity or anybody who does that, calls in an annuity, simply doesn't have money. So it boils down to the same fix-it problem. They don't have money to do anything, including some of the ludicrous things that they promised Ghanaians that they were going to do that they couldn't do. But the thing with this government is that even if the money becomes available, they will spend it on things like renting private aircraft at $17,000 an hour, so that the president can go and watch Champions League final. That is what they'll spend the money on. They will spend the money on fleets of Lexus 570s with specialized bulletproof and other things from Dubai and other places, buy 2-tone Maybachs so that they can ride it. That is what they will do with your money. So even if we agreed that they should do it, and it is a very bad idea, that money will simply be used to pay for recurrent expenditure. It will be used to pay for debts that we already owe. It will be used to do everything but create the necessary conditions for the money to sprout more money. That is, invest it in the capital development enterprises. Because today, we heard from one of the biggest advocates of why are we borrowing when we were in power, that every government borrows. Yes. Mr. Gabi Ochodako put out a tweet that every government borrows. And yet when the NDC was in power, they were at the helm of Gankwa Institute policy that the government was borrowing. And the facts are stuck. From Kwame Nkrumah and before Kwame Nkrumah, colonial government, to President Mahama, the NPP government of the last 4.5 years have borrowed more money than all of them put together. And we have nothing to show for it. At the height of our COVID problems, the president promised us 88 district hospitals in a year. A year has come to pass. Has anybody even bought a shovel? Sophie Bako. Has anybody bought a shovel to start any project? You know what they are saying now? That the land tenure is a problem. You see, it is disgraceful. It is disgraceful. It is embarrassing that a government resorts to such low-down popcorn behavior, such low-down, low-level lies that even my son Rahim would not believe. Because you knew, Mr. President, you knew that building 88 district hospitals in a year was impossible. You could not achieve it. You knew you were telling a lie. The people around you knew it was a lie. Teacher George knew it was a lie. Teacher, you see, now when you say atro. But George was on TV telling us that 88 hospitals, it will happen. I remember. No, George, it hasn't happened. A year and a half on, you haven't even bought a single grain of sand. You haven't bought one bag of cement. Never mind, you had people available who could carry the cement to the location. You didn't do it. But today, you want us in Ghana to have faith that somehow or the other, if you go and collect a bad card and monetize our gold deposits or receipts in lieu of money that you can be given later on, somehow or the other, you will do something good with it. Well, we don't believe you. And who can blame us for not believing you? You want money to spend. Because even as you are telling us to tighten our belts and to fix our characters, you have increased the amount of money that you spend to the presidency so that you can use it on useless expenditure. And then you tell us to fix our character. Is it my character that caused the president to have 1,000 staffers, presidential staffers, who have all collected ex gratia by now? Is it my character? Is it your character that your president had 129 ministers? The last time of counting, when we asked him, he said it was brouhaha. But you know why I know he knew it was wrong? Because he has reduced, he told us, after winning the election, he told us that he will reduce it to 85. They are now 86. So even there, George, you couldn't count right. There's a difference between 85 and 86. Right, George? You people are dishonest. So don't expect the Ghanaian to believe what you say. We don't believe you. So what we want you to do is to leave these countries monetary deposits alone. Leave it for the yet unborn. Leave it for the young people who are struggling to find a living. Leave it for those people who are collecting. Uncle Kwesi said something very interesting. There are people who collect 500 cedis a month in pay. If you collect 500 cedis and you have a family, you have 3 kids and a wife. You wake up in the morning, all the 5 of you go to the public toilet. That's 5 cedis. So every month, you have spent 150 cedis, which is 30% of your income on what goes out. What we haven't started with what comes in. And yet, you are being told by a deceptive government that let them have your gold receipts up front because they have something better to do for you. In the last 4 years, what have you done? Nothing. Nothing at all. When you say it, they'll tell you we've given you free education. During the last election campaign, people were paid to go and bath. They've gotten free water. Are you bathing now? Are you still bathing? People were paid, adults were paid to wear school uniform. Are you still wearing the school uniform? Adults were paid to go and stand at a rally and bath. Of course, it was never the political elites in the MPP. I didn't see my brother George bathing at the rally. Because he's too sophisticated to do that. Creeping near Brandy. With a beautiful family. You should see him and his family. Beautiful family. Somehow or the other, it is the ordinary rank and file who were bathing. And then they told us the electricity free. Free. After the election, Kojo Nkrumah came to tell us that it was free for you, but it wasn't free for the power producers. So now you have to pay for the free that we gave you for free.
No.
It was free for you, but it wasn't free for the power producers. So now the free that we gave you was not so free after all. So you have to pay for the free that we gave you for free. The young people in this country are getting upset. So now that I have finished sucking the cat, mapam ejamwane win. I mean, two more money for my party, NDC, needs to separate itself from these people very, very, very quickly. Because if we don't do it, the day the Aptiva comes, they will take all of us with them. For those people who do not understand political upheaval, I saw, at least I lived to see what happened in this country in 1979. I saw it. I saw rich men hiding their wax print. Dumas. I saw rich people pouring their champagne in gutter.
And black label.
Because some people were told, say, Najufe, Gonda barracks for neighbor.
No, but it's true.
I saw people digging a hole in the ground and putting sardine and tinapa in the ditch in the ground and covering it, doing a great work, covering it with grass. I saw people dressed as their gardeners. When the soldiers came, they were dressed as their gardeners and said, "Me master knew." So for those of you who think that the upheaval is just for those in power. All of us, the so-called political elite, we are in trouble. As soon as the young people determine that we are irrelevant, go and ask Blaise Compaoré. He was the most well-armed president this side of the Sahara. He was the cause of all insurrections in this part of the world. The day the young people of Burkina Faso decided to remove him, they didn't fire a shot in anger. They went to his house and he fled. NDC, if we do not separate ourselves from these people in quick order, Senna, I know you are looking at me. Let me round up. Because as we speak now, you see, some of us have been at this business for 26 years. This is my 26th year as a bona fide member of the NDC.
You should be contesting in a microphone to be.
I don't want to come third. I joined this movement because of what I believe as a human being. It had nothing to do with my antecedents.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'll be with us.
And I want, regretfully so, and I want to let everybody understand that I don't understand why my party is not speaking out against the 8 taxes that have been introduced on the people of this country, and promising the people of this country that when we come to power, we will remove it. Because in the history of the world, taxation is what ended the Roman civilization as we knew it. Ended the Greek civilization. Taxation is what killed Attila the Hun. Taxation is what caused the despair that brought the 1979 revolution. You see, it starts like a rock rolling down a hill. And anybody who knows anything about kinetic energy, just before it gets to the bottom of the hill, that is when it is at its most dangerous. So I'm pleading with my party. Let us not think that if we say to the people of Ghana that we will remove those taxes, somehow if we come to power, we won't be able to find revenue. Because it shouldn't have been there in the first place. Me, I've told you these days, I'm in the popular stand. You know popular stand, you know the smell that comes from popular stand. We say what we like. I want to be able to jump on any platform and tell the people of this country that my party, the NDC, will remove those taxes. After all, the people who put the taxes on you said they were nuisance taxes. They have taken those taxes, they have added more taxes to the taxes, and now they have collateralized the taxes that you collected and left behind. They have blown it on more borrowing, and they have added more. To the extent that today, if you are sick from COVID, you are still paying a tax for a sickness that the first person who got the sickness came aboard the president's flight. So, in rounding up, Senna, why is there not a malaria tax in this country? Has COVID killed more people than malaria? Has COVID killed more people than cancer? Has COVID killed more people than heart disease? What is the life expectancy of a Ghanaian man? I'll tell you, 57 years. Why? Because we die of things we shouldn't die with. Cholesterol, heart disease, and one more. Right? Almost all of us who are over 50 years are on pills. Almost every Ghanaian man who is over 50 years is on pills. Why do we pay tax for that? Why do we pay a special tax for COVID? Because some people entered the kitty, they blew the money, they can't account for it, so they want to tax you and collect money from you that they've already taken from you and blown so that they can go and put it back. So in short, we don't agree to a japa because the government is not trustworthy. They don't do what they say they will. They have not done anything they said they will do since their campaign of 2016. Let me just round off by saying something quickly on the Wesley girls matter. Can I?
Yeah, just briefly.
Okay. I have a son. My son is called Rahim. His mother is a Muslim. So I am saying this to let people understand. Today, as I'm talking to you, right as I was talking here, he called me. My 7-year-old calls me all the time. We live in a country that is secular. So those religious bigots, no, it's very personal. Because if my son chooses to follow his mother's religion and be a Muslim, I want him to get the same rights and responsibilities that any Christian child has, because his father has paid taxes his whole life. His grandfather has paid taxes his whole life.
You get it in a constant school.
No, he will go to a better school, at smarter school. So, the headmistress of Wesley Girls, madam, whatever you think you are getting, espousing by this show of bigotry, you must end it. This country is a secular nation. Taxes are not reduced for people because they are Muslims, Baha'i faith, naked I come, naked I go, or Kwatakukwademcha faith. We all pay the same taxes. And when somebody chooses to fast, it is a personal project. If you read the Quran does not compel anybody to fast. Indeed, the Quran specifies that when women are menstruating, they shouldn't fast. Old people shouldn't fast. Sick people shouldn't fast. I will deal with you another day. Thank you.
Let me come to you, George.
Yeah, thank you. I'll talk. Give me just 1 minute to make some small responses on the issue of key things. The PDS, Sami Jemfi said it was 1.5 billion, Kojo says 2.5.